So what's up everyone? So today we're going to work on a Jeep again, but not my Jeep today. This time we're going to work on my dad's. It's a 2004 Rubicon. He just bought it, but it's got one minor issue. I'm going to show you how to find out what your issue specifically is and how to fix it. First, let's take a look at what it is. And I apologize for the wind, but here it is. Completely stock 2004 Rubicon. Green. Beautiful little Jeep. Its main problem though, well, let's go inside and I'll show you. So, if we press this, we see the rear locker light flashing, so we know the rear is trying to lock. If we press it one more time, now we get both, meaning they're both trying to lock. Now, sitting in one place, sometimes it's a little hard to get these to lock, so you might need to roll a little bit. Okay, so, now, we can see the rear has locked, but the front won't lock. And no matter what you do, no matter how far you drive it, the front will just continue to flash and it won't lock. So, let's pull this in the garage and I'll show you why. Okay, so what do we know so far? We know the front axle doesn't lock. We know they have a flashing light. Those are what we know. So there's a few things that can cause it. One, there's an air line leaking. Two, there's an issue with the air pump. Three, there's an air issue with the locker actually inside the axle. And four, there's an issue with the sensor that goes into the axle. It's just a little plunger at the top. Now, all of those things minus the locker inside the axle are easy and cheap to replace. Except for the air locker or the air pump. The air pump is about $150 if you have to replace it. Still far cheaper though than trying to rebuild or replace the locker inside the axle. So first of all, we're going to figure out exactly what is causing the issue, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, now this is your locker pump assembly right here. You've got your rear locker pump and your front locker pump. This all sits on the driver's side underneath the Jeep. Basically, you got your intake hose. You got your intake hose. You got your output hose right here. This will go to the front. This just goes so it doesn't. This goes up somewhere to a breather hose, so it doesn't suck in water underneath. Now we're gonna test these. We're gonna make sure they're actually turning on, because if they're not, then we know there's an electrical issue somewhere. To do this, you don't actually have the Jeep running. Just put the Jeep in 4 low, turn the key forward 1 click. And leave it in park and everything, and you can disengage and engage the lockers right from there without the Jeep running. So the key's already in there, it's in 4 low, we're in park. I'm going to go ahead and actuate the front locker. To do that, both lockers are going to turn on. Both locker pumps are going to turn on. So you're going to see this one turn on and this one turn on, or you're probably going to hear it. And what this is going to do is we're going to test the electrical system, make sure they're actually switching them on like they're supposed to. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so right away we see one problem. The rear went ahead and turned on and then pumped up the pressure and turned off. The front just keeps pumping. So the other thing we can do with this running like this is we can pull this line off. Now, these lines are pretty easy to pull off, so don't worry about it. If the pump kept running like this, it's one of two issues. Either the pump isn't pumping air or the line itself has a leak in it. So let's just pull this off to see if it's pumping. And it's not. No air is coming out of here. Now this line could be plugged, but we know it's not because the other pump is pulling air just fine. Mind you, these are only 5 psi systems, so they don't need a whole lot of pressure to work. So we know it's an issue in here. Okay, and now with everything turned off, what we're going to do is we're going to pull the output line off the rear pump and put it onto the front pump. Now, what this is going to do is we're going to have to actuate the rear to lock the front, which is just fine. It just means you press the switch one time. And what that's going to test, it's going to test to make sure the front locker is working and that there's no air in the line. There's no holes in the lines anywhere, and that it's working. So, let me get this undone here. All right. So, what we do is it's a little bit of a pain to reach to, but there is a line back here. You kind of have to work your arm up and over, but you should be able to pull it off. So there's the rear line. And then you take this front line and feed it up through here. And this is the hardest part. It's just getting these back on there. It's always putting stuff back together that's harder. Alright, it's all on there. Also, you want to be careful because these plastic pieces can be fragile. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actuate the rear, which is one click down, and we'll see if the front locks. So let's go back into the cab. Okay, so here we are back in the Jeep. We're still in 4-low, still in park, but now we have the pump. Now we have the pumps reversed. So the rear locker air pump should turn on, and that should actuate the front locker. So I heard the pump, and the front locked. And if we hit it one more time, we'll see this actually flashing go away. Let's roll a little bit and see if it does. Okay, so we had to start it and roll it a minute, but you see that this pump, the front locker is now locked, and now the rear isn't locking. And that's because the rear line is disconnected, and the front line is connected to that other pump that works. So because of that, and because it's staying locked, no issues, we know that the pump, now the issue is that pump. So now we know what to do. We just replace the pump. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to replace one of the pumps. They're pretty easy. They're about 150 bucks online if you get them. It's 3 bolts, a plug, and 2 lines. So let's go under there and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so here is what you need. Just go online and order this. There's your part number. I'll put a link in the description too. I'll look for you guys and put a link down there. But that's what you need. There's your part number, where you get it from, all that good stuff. What it comes with, so we got your new pump, connector. One note about the connector, if you have a 2003, your connector for the front is different than the rear. You can still use the same pump, you're just going to have to change the connector out on them. But if you're a 2004 to a 2006, you don't have to worry about it. Front or rear will work just fine. And it comes with your little bag of goodies here. So screws and rubber isolators, which is nice. So literally all you're doing is you're going to use 3 Phillips screws. So the only thing you should need is a screwdriver. I'm going to use a shorty because it's a little bit easier to get in there. And you got to undo the clip and the 2 lines. So let's go underneath the Jeep and let's get this replaced. Okay, so we got all our parts under here. We got our screwdriver. Let's try to get this off. Oh, don't forget that we switched the lines, so we're going to have to switch them back. So let's pull that line off. And just pull these pieces of rubber out. So first your little sleeve there, and then these rubbers just pull right out. These are actually pretty soft, so you just push right in. Do pay attention though, you have a flat side and a concave side. The concave side needs to go down. If you're looking at this, when these slip in, they line up better with it. Versus the other way. Oh, I can't get it out of there. Come on, there we go. Versus notice the other way, perfectly flat, and these won't seat flat. So make sure that the perfectly flat side goes up and the side with the little concave in it goes down. Okay, yeah, so that little piece is what you need to get out of there. It comes with a new one. It comes with a new one right there, so don't worry about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the new one back in there. We got to get the same orientation, so it has to go that way. That's the way it came off, that's the way it's got to go in. You're screwing into those little 3 holes, so it might be a little bit of a problem getting lined up, but I'm just going through it like that. Okay, Now, let's go back inside the Jeep, start it up, and we're going to test it to see if it works. Okay, so we're here back in the Jeep. Let's go ahead and see if it works. We're in 4 low, we're in park, so we press the locker pump once. And if you don't have your engine on, you'll actually hear it. Okay, rear's flashing. Front's locked. So let's start it up and let's roll backwards to see if the rear locks. There it is, both locked. And now to undo it, click up. Done. Alright guys, so there you go, that's it, that's all there is to it. It takes about 10-15 minutes to replace, maybe a little bit longer if you're going a little bit slower, but not too hard at all. It takes longer to diagnose it than actually replace it, but it's pretty easy. It's an easy fix. You have 3 bolts, 2 hoses, and the connector on top, and that's it. Once you have those done, it's it. Rarely does the locker inside the axle actually go out. It's more of that pump or the hosing, so that's how you can diagnose what the issue is. Anyway guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, hit the comments below if you have any questions. I'll try to find a link for you guys to hit that locker pump, because it's not everywhere. It's a little bit harder to find. You can get out your dealers, but it's a lot more expensive, so I'll see if I can find the link that I bought it at for you so you guys can look up that. And if you like what's going on with the channel, hit a subscribe for me and share the video out if you think it was helpful. You guys have a good rest of your day, and thank you for watching.